So today I wanted to walk through a little bit about how I update the direction pages after a monthly release. So I wanted to get started with the review app page, and you can see I opened it up in the web IDE. And so we have a general description here about what review apps are. That hasn't changed, so I'm not going to go ahead and change anything here. There's links to the maturity page, the issue list, which is filtered by review apps, the overall vision, our documentation, and the UX. There's a reference here to visual reviews, which is under verify, but it's closely tied to review apps. That's why it's here in the direction page. And then we have what's next and why. And if you can see right now, it says that we're working on bug fixes related to review apps, and we're asking the community to send us some feedback if there's specific issues that they're interested in. But in this release, we actually have something coming up, so I want to update this section about what's next and why. So I have a board that is filtered by the current release, which is 13.6, and I will just add another filter for the category. Sorry about that. Review apps. And then we have these two issues. I'm going to ignore the needs weight issue. So I'm going to start by describing this one, which is set auto environment expiry when an environment is created. So what I'm going to do is just add this here, and I'm going to write here, we are planning to add the option to create an expiry for review apps when an environment is created. Yeah, and then I need to link the issue here. So this is the link that I copied before, and then I'm going to write here GitLab and the issue. And I'll add some information here that expiry used to be set according to the deployment date, but some environments never deploy to. So this creates an automatic stop environments regardless to their deployment based on creation date. And then we have the second issue. So I'm going to look at the current. We have the review app dynamic environment created from child pipeline does not show up in merge request. So additionally, we are extending support to review for review apps for child pipelines via, and then we need the issue that we copied. This functionality currently shows review apps only for the parent pipeline. So really exciting stuff. So this is the first one that we mentioned is one of the it was broken off from an additional issue. Let me find it. It's this one, provide a mechanism to clean up stale environments. And this is one of the most popular issues that we have in progressive delivery. It currently has 54 upvotes. And we've been doing quite a lot of progress around this for the past year. So we first added the option to have auto expiry for deployments. And we also added an API support for that. And now we're adding the ability to extend this for creation of environment as well. So you can see in the YAML file, you have the auto stop in keyword, and now it's either reset according to the creation date or by the deployment. It will reset if there is a deployment. So really exciting. And the other issue is that we talked about, which is the review app for child pipeline. So Verify delivered a really, really cool option to create pipelines and child parent pipelines, but we didn't extend the additional functionality. So now if you have a child parent pipeline, it's really cool visually in the pipeline, but the review app only opens up from the parent. So you can't see the effect of your MR in the child pipeline. So we're going to extend that as well to see that. So it's a really, really useful feature. Okay, I put this in the wrong place, so I'm gonna just undo my changes and just cut it and paste it again, because that happens. Yeah, so we don't want that in the visual reviews, we wanted it in the what's next. Then we have a maturity plan, and the category is currently incomplete. Where you want to move it to lovable. To be totally honest, we haven't put a lot of effort in this to move it towards lovable because our other categories are in much worse shape. So we're investing a lot of times over feature flags, CD, advanced deployments to make a real impact there. I actually suspect that we may already be in lovable for review apps because from customer interviews, it's one of the features that customers love the most in GitLab, but there's still some work to do around the visual reviews and the ability to support review apps for mobile. We also talked about maybe supporting review apps for feature flags. So there's a lot still to do in this area. So then we have the competitive landscape, which our biggest competitor is Heroku. I don't know if you guys have seen the video that Sid posted about how when you want to start building something, Heroku is awesome. It's really easy to do, but when you need to start pushing to production, you really need to change the way that you work. So one of the advantages that we have in GitLab is that review apps is part of the workflow, and it's part of the workflow even before pushing to production. So it's a big advantage that we have. So now I want to just make sure that the next sections are up to date. So we have the top customer success issue, the customer issue, internal customer, and the top vision issue. So what I'm going to do now is I want to look at the issues that we have under our group, and then I'm going to filter similarly to what we did in the board under the category of review apps. And then what I will do is it's filtered right now by popularity. So that's the most popular issues. So the top issue. So let's see. The top issue, regardless to customer or non-customer, is provide a mechanism to clean up stale environments, which we discussed, and it's also in the internal customer. So let's just make sure it's in the right place. So you can see it's mentioned here under top internal customer issue. So I'm going to leave that as is. And there's no point in like copying the same issue many, many times. So what I want to check now is what is the top customer issue. And this is a little bit tricky because it's not always labeled correctly. So let's see if that gives us any results. So we have the review review app from child parent pipeline, which we just discussed, as a top popular issue. It's kind of a tie because they both have one upvote, so that's not very extensive. Let's see what we had in last month. So the top customer issue, what that was stated was this one, and let's try to figure out why it was written down there. So it also has one upvote, so it's a tie between the three at the moment. I'm not sure that this is worthwhile updating since they all have only one upvote, so I'm going to leave that as is. And customer success sales issue, it's also around the same issue of a way to clean up the stale environment. So that's what's written here. To clean up environments, whether they have expiration dates or not. And then there's also a reference to review apps for GitLab pages, which I will open up here. You can see this has 53 upvotes. The reason it didn't come up in our filter is because it is under the release management group, but I'm still going to leave this in this direction page because they're tightly coupled. So I think it makes sense to leave this as a highly requested issue. And let's just go over managing review apps could be a challenge, particularly in cleaning them up. And to highlight the severity of how this issue can grow, we have already like 1,500 stale environments just on GitLab.com. So this has been something that even our docs team has been asking us to figure out how to clean up. The first thing we did was introduce this expiration date, which is that keyword that I showed you, auto stop in. The problem is that didn't really solve their problem because most of the review apps there didn't really have deployment, so we're expanding on that in this release, as I mentioned. And let's see what this issue is. Yeah, this is the top issue. So provide a mechanism to clean up a stale environment. So we've been breaking off of this issue many different small issues just to complete it. So we're in the right direction, but there's still some work to do. So I'm going to leave that one in as well. So all of these are pretty much up to date. And last week, but not least, is the top vision item. And our focus is to bring review apps to mobile workflows. There's an epic here linked to do that. I'm still going to leave that in, even though I'm in a dilemma whether or not to change that to the connection between feature flags and review apps. But it is definitely one of the really cool offerings that we can do, which is connecting mobile development to review apps. And there's a lot of buzz around that. Actually, Andrew has written a blog post about how you can connect an emulator called Appetize.io to the GitLab workflow. So it's really cool. And that was the first step that we did in this direction. I'm still going to leave this in because it's still a high priority in terms of leadership. And maybe the connection between review apps and feature flags I'll put in the feature flag direction page. So stay tuned to see that. I hope this was helpful. You know, if you have any questions, feel free to ping me on the MR.